and we're recording. What I was mentioning is that the ES our first push was up. We came down and we hit the open, and now we're bouncing, and we're gonna see what this 5-minute bar does when it closed. But it looks like we went from the open, came up to VWAP, and now we're seeing what the next direction is with that. But we were looking at all of our positions, and for right now, what I saw when we opened, we were looking good at everything, especially the gold trade. Peter started talking about the gold trade, and that's looking good for Monday, which is today. That's going to expire. Worthless. And we still have a trade for Wednesday on with our gold for the 2600 puts. I'm looking at our spreadsheet. So 1652 closed, which was SMCI. We still have looks like 1 unit on with MSTR with our call butterfly. And then we've got 1650 that closed, 1649 closed on Friday, and 1648. Looks like Netflix. We were looking at the 735 calls before the server went off. So that one is still open. Looks like we have one unit open there. So let's take a look at Netflix. And heads up, looks like our weighted is starting to print a positive bar, or trying to at least. We'll see where we end up. Let's look at the NQ. It looks like we have the NQ below VWAP 8 and the 21, which we have a little divergence between the ES and NQ. Hopefully everybody can see Peter's alert that came out. I just wanted to mention that since we are having a little technical difficulties, and I believe Sebastian's working on that for us. Thank you, Rick M. Now the weighted is now pushing past the zero line and trying to print positive with the nice up breath 1.4, NASDAQ 1.69, and our sector boxes are now, we've got mostly light green, small pink, and I don't know if you guys mentioned could hear this in the morning, but we had some dark red boxes, and there are no dark red boxes. We got one dark green, which is in real estate. The iceberg looks like it's improving, painting more green with the ticks up. Looks like I have a high tick of a 483 today with small painting of red in the morning. TGI FDC, yeah, you could see that the Russell here is kind of outperforming today. It's definitely some divergence out there, like I was pointing with the ES and NQ, because you could see the way the 8 and 21 was stacked on the two different indices there, or the futures, I should say. Sounds like maybe you want to look at Fangman plus Fangman. So Apple's up almost $3. We've got Google flat 33 cents. Amazon's down $1.50. Nvidia, yeah, Nvidia's kind of holding in there with down only $1.30. We've got Tesla up $1.04. And then Microsoft down $1.50. Meta down 50 cents. I'd call this kind of more flattish, flattish open there. Let's go back, and it looks like Peter's looking at gold again. Looking at selling some more credit puts there. Should we try this live? Gold trade live? So he's got a week out. Sell a vertical. Yeah, I just noticed that my strikes were off. Thank you, Arson. And what I'm going to try to do, I'm going to switch you guys to an ES chart for a second while I take a look at gold. And heads up, ES is now breaking the 8 and 21. So you're going to lose my main screen for a second, just as a heads up. And then so you should have the ES on your main screen while I look at gold here for a moment. Just as a heads up, we've had some technical difficulties, so if you hear a pause in my speaking, I might be pausing, but if you guys lose screens, please post in the first tab. Hey, you lost screens. I'm looking at both. I'm trying to watch the PTR room and the charts and looking for new trades. Heads up, everyone, looks like we're coming down to the open in the ES. It looks like Susie wanted to look at different time frames. So we've got the ES on the 5 minute. Here's the 15. You can see that we're still below VWAP. Looks like we're between the 8 and 21 on the 15. I'm trying to see where this bar closes. And I like to look at all different time frames. So 15, here's the 30 minute. You can see that we're below VWAP. We're just hanging around the 8. And Susie was wanted to check out the hour time frame. Let's see what this looks like. We're below all of our indicators. Don't pay attention to these. I haven't set this up, these previous day highs and lows, because I just jumped on in the morning. But you can see how we're below VWAP on an hour for the ES. And we're trying to see, we're challenging the 8 right now. Hanging out just above the open. We're above the overnight low for the ES. In Q, on an hour time frame, I'd say we're kind of just bunched up, right, for our indicators. Pretty close on the hour, but let's check out our 5 minute, which we normally look at. In Q, we're below the VWAP 8 and 21 as well. So Peter put in another alert for the gold trade. I have that working right now. I haven't been filled. I was actually trying to get filled at 110. I'm going to move that down to 105 and see what happens here. And I'm not sure it's going to let me. 105, because it went from 110 to $1. And it didn't. So I'm going to try to fill that at $1 and see what happens. Okay, so I have that working, that GC contract working for Wednesday, selling that spread. So let's look at gold here for a moment. Just on a 5 minute. VWAP. is up at around 26.67 on a 5-minute. And it looks like we're coming maybe right at the 8 to see if this is resistance or we break through. There's a 15. And on a daily for gold, and I'm just looking at this since we just put an alert out for a trade, you can see VWAP's at 26.01. We're right there at the 8. And then it looks like the 21 is 26.09. And then, so Peter put out a trade. He's right here, 2600 for a vertical. And it looks like if we do come in, we'd have some support right around there, right? If you can see that. Looks like we've got some comments on NQ, so let's bounce back over to NQ. Five-minute. Todd, yes. Good heads up. Looks like we were heading down to the low, and then we didn't reach there yet, but we definitely bounced. Let's do a rundown of market internal since it's been a little bit. And I'll bring everybody back there. So goodness, we've been back and forth on the weighted AD, and now we printed negative. We did print lower, but it looks like our last candle here is trying to take some of that back. NASDAQ 1.2, NYSE 1.2, NASDAQ 1.37, and looking at our sector boxes, I just want to say that this is really, we don't have a clear direction, I guess I would say, because we've got Infotech barely up, 0.05, financials is up 0.07, healthcare 0.3, really flattish. Heads up though, we did have some negative ticks down here. Negative tick reading was minus 600, but still kind of, muted till you see any minus 1,000 ticks. But we're still in a range here with our ticks. And looking at the iceberg. Just looking at some of my stocks that I've tried to follow is Costco. Costco's up $10 a day. Nike, I'm not really excited about that stock, but they have earnings. I think it's coming out Tuesday after the bell with Nike. I'm not doing any plays in that, but I definitely watch it. Nike's down $1 today, but they had a CEO, I think it was, that's being removed and replaced with someone that's internal. So there's some hope with the turnaround story in Nike. So we're about an hour into the session. We've kind of ran down open, still keeping an eye on what's going on. Are there any stocks out there that you guys want to look at? And don't forget we have Jerome Powell speaking at 1 p.m. Eastern today. I'm just looking at the calendar to see if there's any economic news coming out. Looks like we got ISM manufacturing tomorrow at 10. Wednesday's a petroleum report. And we've got quite a few people speaking on Wednesday as well. Jobless claims on Thursday. And then Friday is the employment status with some still speakers. So throughout the week, it looks like we've got a couple Fed speakers that can change the market. Okay, and it looks like we've got some people want to look at different charts. So Lily, five-minute chart. Let's look at a daily. Yeah, boy, because you could see this recovery here, and now you're in the middle. This chart definitely looks good if you break out of this range up here, but this does not look. I don't like this when it's coming down, because you can see there's a big gap down here, another bar. You want to see if there's more follow through, or if we're going to catch support there. Z-Dog. Is there anything that you're looking at with this? Any type of trades, or? I mean, you could kind of do this to see if we come into support, right? And I definitely wait and see how this plays out. If we come down and bounce here, come in. Where does Lily find some type of support? But definitely good if we break out up to the upside. You can see that it's kind of selling off right now. And it looks like the market's starting to turn around. So I'm going to flip back here to ES and the market internals. You can see that the weighted's definitely pushed above zero to the highs for the day and taking out a previous bar on the weighted. Ticks positive, pretty close to the highs. The highest tick today, 532. That's where we're at. And NYSE 1.49, NASDAQ 1.5. And we've still got, I would say sector boxes, a lot of light green. So we're definitely pushing up now. But still, to me, it still feels kind of flattish looking at these sector boxes. And especially since we've traded back and forth, around the zero line for the weighted AD. So still some push-pull. Okay, Lily. We got PayPal. Earnings are a month out. Yeah, this looks great, right? We broke out to new highs. Now we're starting to come in. This is obviously on the daily chart. You want to see if this 8 right here holds. We've got VWAP and 21 too close together for me to read it off my screens, but it's around $74.21. MMC, Kenny, you got any ideas or some plays that you want to look at? I mean, this definitely looks pretty bullish to me. And right here looks like a great gap, a good gap or support. is what I would look at. That looks like around 73, 74. I'm looking at a risk we're selling a put 75 for a week. So Kenny, yeah, 75 puts. That looks like a good trade to me. I just did that. I'll post that for everybody, and we'll see how that goes. So let's copy that, and I'm only gonna put in for the room just one unit, but definitely trade, per your account size. And I grabbed the wrong order there. Copy. And we'll see how that one works. And it looks like you wanted to sell that for credit and then put on a spread. And you wanted to do a ratio of an 81-84. Let's take a look at that. $81, $84. And I see what you're doing with yeah, I see. It's a great idea. I see that ratio. I think for me, that I don't follow PayPal enough, but that just looks kind of cheap for me, those options on the call side up there. But I definitely see what you're thinking, and you're on the right track. But let's do this. I just like to look at fibs. Because you want to be right around 81, 84, and then it'll stall out. Which still looks like it'll work. But again, I like to sell things naked, so I'm definitely in your trade at 75 for this week, and I'll continue to watch that, and we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll roll it or something like that if we get into trouble. But the reason why I did that trade and why you're maybe we're thinking about that, we've got this gap. We've got some resistance that I would think that would happen at the 8, and we're also have we're hoping some support at the 21. Okay. So good trade. Let's well, a good idea. Let's see if it's a good trade towards the end of the week, right? Okay, AMD. AMD. Yeah, I think there was quite a few news on this because I think it was more bullish, wasn't it? Because of what is it? Sorry, I'm drawing a blank here. Nvidia and chips because selling to China and so forth, and AMD was probably having some competition, providing Nvidia competition. $17. Are you there? Oh, what are you looking at? I mean, this definitely starting to look like a bullish at, it's turned around a bit here. Were you looking at any plays? Hello, hello? Looks like my sound's working, so maybe it was your sound. But 17, I'm going to just start looking at the charts, and then if you want to say anything about your plays, let me know. And it looks like Peter's got another play with trade alert with Tesla, and then I'll flip over there real fast. Extend right. With AMD, I definitely like this pattern, right? Doesn't this kind of look like a head and shoulders, but it's reversed, where it found support down here? And you can see that we've got everything stacked, 821 VWAP with AMD. Okay, I'm going to flip to the Tesla chart real fast. And then we'll come right back, 17. We've got Peter. Post on Tesla for a BWB on the call side for a 15-cent credit expiring this week. Got it, 17. We'll get right back to it. Right now I'm trying to look at Peter's alert because I want to get into this trade. And I like looking at option volume which is, looks like we've got a BWB on the upside right after a lot of volume. And I definitely like that. So Peter's trade, 15 cents. Looks like maybe we can get a couple pennies more. So I'm going to put that in as working. And see if we can get filled. Looks like, and that's a great chart that Peter put up, and I'm looking at that, and I'm also trying to get filled at the same time for a 15-cent credit. Okay, I'm gonna let that as a resting order for a 15-cent credit. I haven't been filled yet, even though that I can see, the pricing jumping up there. And sometimes I feel like if I don't get filled right away, it's because it's probably a good trade. But if you do get filled right away, sometimes it's like you're like, oh no, that can turn into something else, right? Or you'd have to manage a little bit more. So I'm going to put these price levels just to match Peter so I can see if I get filled on this trade and manage it, to see what we were looking at and a reference back to it. Okay, so now that we have that set up, we're looking, I'm going to go back to, and I was just filled at 15-cent credit. So if anyone wants to get into that, Tesla, that BWB 15-cent credit just filled for me. And we're looking at AMD for 17. AMD. Hopefully everybody can see that. AMD looks like it's establishing a uptrend. Just a gap above. So this is the gap that you must be talking about, right here. $17, yeah, that looks great. Gap, trend line. All the indicators are stacked. It looks like Abe in Florida has a comment, and I'll let Peter respond to that. But yeah, if we're below those strikes, we'll get a 15% profit. But there's also an advantage of that broken wing butterfly structure that you're long in the front. So if we actually come up, that long could expand while the back is decreasing in price. And so that comes into, when I was on, like, I don't know, what was it, a couple weeks ago, we were talking about adjusting butterflies and broken wings and different credit spreads, that if you get a credit and you're looking for expansion, you can get, Peter calls it like old Milwaukee trade, where you get in for a credit and you can get out for a credit. So maybe that happens. Maybe we get just full profit there. And yeah, and Peter said, yeah, if we don't make it up there, we definitely we get paid for 15 cents. Okay, back to AMD with 17. Yeah, this definitely looks bullish to me. I like there's a gap here. What I don't like is this trend line, or maybe I shouldn't say that. What I'd be hesitant about is this trend line coming down. I want to see if you break this trend line to the downside, and once this breaks, that would be a buy. Buy for me. I would look at selling puts, but for me, that, since we're in this kind of wedge pattern, if you sold puts, down here, yeah, you could sell puts here, here, or here, which is, 8, 21, or VWAP, but it's what I would call is poor location. You sell down here, and if this stock moves down, maybe I could teach this better with the Epic pin. So if you just with this stock here, AMD, I would look to see if we can do one of these patterns, and we could come up with this down trend line, and then right when we break it, I'd see if there's continuation of the upside. And that's when I would like to sell puts, you know, at an 8, because the 8 would be higher, but I'd like to sell puts. I just want to do some confirmation. I think we would be too early here if we entered in some type of trade, but I think it's a great idea with your gap and so forth. And the reason why I wouldn't come in here and just sell puts and without looking at it is because we could do, let me erase this so we don't get confused. And even though that we're stacked up, we could do one of these, right? And then if you sold puts down here, you'd be at a poor location. So I would wait, is what I'm saying. I think we'd be early there. Hopefully that helps you out, 17. But either way, I'm definitely going to be watching this to see if we have further continuation to the upside, or these key levels around the 8 and 21. You want to see the downtrend line? Hold on. So you could take it from a downtrend line from the top of the wick. And we can try that. Hold on. And typically I do the top of the wick, but this one was a little different, right? So you could have played from the top of the wick down to this wick and then said, hey, we have a breakout. But you could see that this is coming in, and that's kind of why I'm saying, hey, what happens if we break this trend line? You definitely want to see this bounce happen at this trend line and start coming up, right? I'm just waiting for confirmation. The reason why I didn't draw it from the top of the wick is because when I see something like this, and it's for me, this screams emotional buying. This says that, hey, we came in. Buyers were coming in and they were piling in hand over fist. And also what could have happened was shorts may have covered if there's shorts in here. So this to me just screams, it's kind of big for me. It looks like emotional. So that's why I took it to the top. But this chart definitely looks good. I just want to see more confirmation. Because like I said, that trend line from the top of the wick, it's starting to come in. And then you want to see if it's going to bounce and it takes out these highs. Because once AMD takes out, what, 169, that's when that would probably be a short-term buy, and can see for a continuation. I was looking for a more long-term play than just maybe a day or two. But like I said, I mean, anything can work out, right? It's just kind of my opinion, what I'm looking for, and so forth. But, okay, let's see if anybody else, let's do market internals because I haven't come back there for a little while. Market internals, looks like we're still bullish. Or flattish, I would say. I only say bullish because the weighted AD is printing above 0. You know, and again, I wouldn't trade futures just because we saw us cross back and forth the 0 line. We've got the iceberg. It still looks a little muted to me just because we haven't had any minus or plus 1,000 ticks. We're right at the 0 line-ish right now. NYSE 1.3, NASDAQ 1.36, and we've got, you know, looking at our sector boxes, we're still, I would say, flattish. The two dark greens are energy and real estate. Energy 0.77, real estate 0.67. So those are, you know, every box is important, right? But those sectors are towards the least weighted in the S&P. So I would say it's not really affecting it that much. But, you know, we've got a couple sectors here, light green and some pinkish color. But I would say this is pretty flattish to me. Nothing real big happening. You know, SPX is down $2, NDX is down $34. Arthur, thanks for your comment. Jim WC, the Tesla trade, it's posted in the alerts. Peter did. Yeah, oh, and I can see Peter actually said that. So check out the alerts, check out his chart. You can see his reasoning behind that and so forth. Just checking more comments here. So we looked at a couple charts, and hopefully we've passed the technical issues because it looks like I haven't been kicked off, and it looks like the mic and screens are still sharing, which is great. Let's look back at the ES 5-minute. Looks like we're now above VWAP, and we're right at the 8 EMA. We're above the open. And heads up in Tesla, Peter's got a comment there that Michael said that they've got Tesla has some delivery numbers coming out Wednesday. So I would stay close to that trade that Peter's commenting on. Yogesh, yeah. I've looked at that JPM caller stuff before, but sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But we could take a look at SPX, and I'll dive into SPX here real fast, and we'll look at the volume. Let's bounce over and look at NQ. See, doesn't this look different to me? Where our indicators are different. We have VWAP at the top for NQ, 8 and 21 below. And then when we go back to ES, see, we've got VWAP down below and then the 8 above it, and the 21 slightly above it. And we're coming in now. So look, that just screams kind of divergence to me. I don't know really how to read that, but it just seems kind of odd because a lot of times you would see the ES and NQ moving in one direction, and you should see those indicators or those points of interest stacked on top of each other, similar. So we'll see how this resolves itself. But for me, I'm kind of sitting on my hands a little bit and seeing how this is going to resolve until there's a clear direction. Yogesh, and if I'm pronouncing that, I apologize. But yeah, I'm looking at that JPM SPX. There looks like there's a lot of volume right at 57.50. Is definitely an area to watch for today. You know, it's the end of the month, and a lot of times at the end of the month, there's a lot of, how should I say, shenanigans with people pushing the market one way or another. So that's another reason why I sit on hands and wait, because on Fridays I always think, hey, I don't want to do a trade that it's about protecting capital. On Fridays, I think, hey, I want to save everything that I've made during the week, not to blow it on one trade. And similar with the month, at the end of the month, I want to protect or save what I've made throughout the month, not to blow it on one month. But it's definitely interesting. A 57.50 strike definitely has 48,000 contracts, 20,000 today, 48 open interest, and to see if that's a magnet, if we're gonna go there or pin. But maybe we can, if anything, sometimes you look at a butterfly if you just want to play that for a pin, or what people call as a lotto ticket. So just reviewing, we were looking at that SPX 57.50. I was looking at a butterfly. I'm not going to play this at all, but sometimes if you guys have a thought process, or an idea, or you think something that'll work out, a butterfly is a cheap way to maybe play for that hunch or lotto ticket or whatever you want to call it. Is a cheap way to to maybe see if that trade works out. But you could do a 10 wide butterfly, which is like selling the 57.50, buying a 57.40, 57.60 for $2.30 just roughly right now. So you risk $200 to see if we go there. And that's definitely not, my trade idea. It's just some advice that if you were going to go down that route, So Susie also mentioned, with that JPM collar, they sell that vertical. Let's look at their back. Because they sell puts to actually finance their upside call, I think it's what it was. No, they sell the vertical to buy the puts. But you can never tell who's buying and selling. That's why I always kind of wonder about that. And that's why I don't like to do like other people's plays or anything like that. But since people mention it, I thought we'd actually look at it. And Abe, you could go to, if you go to Google, there's a lot of discussion about the JPM trade. And so Abe, Yoshi, and Susie, since we're talking about it, I'm going to just do a one lot. It's $200 a fly right at that 750. I'm going to see if I can get filled here. That way we could see it. I would expect if you're going to put this on, just expect to lose whatever you put on. And I'm just going to do it for kind of educational purposes only here. But, the market's bullish today. We'll see if we can get a push up. Sorry if you heard that. That was my stomach. And I was just filled on that. So again, since we were talking about it, I thought I'd put it on. These are always interesting. And only do this with what you expect to lose. So I'm in. It's just more of an idea. And I'll post this trade for you guys, for everybody. I'm going to say of an idea or lotto ticket type of trade, be prepared to all debit. Let's write 0 DTE in here for everyone to, in case people are not in the room. So we've been going out this for about 2 hours now. So there's an idea for you guys. Hopefully I put enough clarification in there to see it's a butterfly. And we'll see if we continue to be bullish. I'll keep this on. But if we start, how should I say? I don't want to influence anyone like tank or go down. But if we start seeing some market internals that don't look good, you know, meaning ticks are going negative, and then some other indications that that don't look good. I'll bail on this, but I'm going to try to wrap this up here, and we'll go over the market internals right before we take off. So market internals, NYSE is 1.26, NASDAQ 1.47. Again, sector boxes are pretty neutral, mostly light green. We only have one dark red right now, which is materials 2.2. Real estate is dark green 2.4. Again, those two sectors are towards the end of our sector watch list, which, you know, have not a major weighting, right? And then as I'm speaking, we saw energy creep up to 0.51. Weighted, we're above 0. We're coming in a bit, but nothing to change our outlook on anything, right? Nothing happening. Ticks are moving down a little bit lower to what, minus 500-ish. We're doing a little bit of painting red, but you know, I would still say that this feels kind of mutish. You know, maybe because of OptX. You know, this is the last day of the month. We've got some rebalancing going on. That's why some people are talking about the fly that we just did. What else should we run down? We've got ES up 50 cents. NQ is minus $9 now. And we looked at some charts. And let's look at RSN. I think I hit everyone's comment except RSN here about Meta. So let's look at that real fast, and then we'll take off. And then, you know, if anything else comes up, you can always send me a DM or an email. Meta. And my email address is mnichols@ShadowTrader, or it's, you know, if it's easier to send a DM, you could hit the 3 dots by my name and send me a direct message. Understood, Susie. Yeah. Yeah, our trade, if we pin right at 57.50 in SPX, and that's why I did it in SPX, is that we don't have to worry about getting assigned or anything. So if you do SPY, you could get assigned or so forth. But SPX, if we pin, we actually made a profit, but the volatility is definitely increasing in the further months, right? And we don't always know why, but for me, I think it's because it's the selection year and we've got some uncertainty. But and obviously, if volatility is increasing, that means that people are buying more protection. So Meta for RSN, this looks great on a 5-minute, right? If you're day trading this, wait until it comes back to the 8, look for a bounce, buy it. RSN was looking for a ratio. And yeah, Meta's at all-time highs. And a lot of times when I do ratio, I like to look for resistance lines. So with that, it's kind of hard to see where a ratio would be at. And there's a lot of Fed speak, so I'm going to sit on hands with this one, even though it looks like all-time highs for a ratio spread, because, again, I'm looking for resistance. When you're at all-time highs, it's really hard to see resistance on the call side. So the best thing that I can only recommend is, putting a fib, and looking at the extensions and see if there's any ratio that you can do at 622. But again, with a ratio spread, I wouldn't like to go out too farther in time, because that's where I get trapped. And I typically like to do a ratio like in the middle of the week, like on a Wednesday, maybe Tuesday. Probably Tuesday. I definitely wait till Tuesday to see that, because you want that premium to drain out of the back, if that helps RSN. But this definitely looks like, for me, I would sell puts naked, and then roll them in and out, because Meta's a good stock. And if you really believe in Meta, sell puts down in here below VWAP and that sort of stuff. And you could sell this, further out in time, right? If you come in and you sold puts, and those puts you could roll those puts down and out, and do a lot of different things with that. But with that, I think I'm going to get off and look at some more charts. And if anybody has any questions, you can, you could DM Peter or ask him questions, or me, because I think things are working. It's just at the beginning of the day we had a couple glitches with the screens and so forth. So if you need anything else, please let us know. Take care. Hope you have a great Monday. And yeah, good trading.